Welcome to the very first episode of Meaningful Topics for Golf, a podcast where we dive into better conversations, stronger connections, and the lessons golf teaches us both on and off the course. I'm your host, Mariah Swaggart, and I cannot tell you how sweet it is to finally be launching this series. The topic of stepping out of our comfort zones and embracing new and exciting opportunities seemed like the perfect topic to launch this podcast with, and I could not think of a better guest to launch it with than Alissa Kacar, also known on social media as the New Lady Golfer. Alissa is a golf host, content creator, and a total inspiration to me in the world of golf, travel, fitness, and lifestyle. We've shared so many great memories on and off the course, and I'm honored to kick off this journey with her. In this episode, Alissa shares what it's been like to step into the world of golf as a new player and how she pushes herself out of her comfort zone to embrace new opportunities, the lessons she's learned along the way, and observations about the golf industry as a whole, and also how she prepares for a golf event, specifically one she has to speak at. Through it all, she has an incredible energy that makes everyone feel welcome and comfortable around her, which is why I wanted to bring her on this podcast to hear a little bit more of her insight and how she creates that safe space for others. I am so excited for you to hear her story, but before we begin, I must say that this episode was brought to you by Experience Ireland Golf and Travel. Experience Ireland Golf and Travel plans fantastic trips around Ireland that include absolute bucket list courses, and I plan to travel with them soon this year. For this podcast, I actually traveled to San Diego to Alissa's home. As I said, she is a very sweet person and an incredible host, so I'm very grateful that she invited me over to get the best experience in asking her about her journey as a new golfer and working in the golf industry. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Today I'm with Alissa, and Alissa, thank you so much for being on the Meaningful Topics for Golf podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to welcome you here and spend a little time with you in San Diego.
Absolutely, yeah. We were actually at Alissa's home. She is an amazing host, an amazing person, and that's just a testament of us being in your home filming this podcast. So thank you. Would you like to start by sharing a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Alissa Kacar. Not many people know how to say my last name. It's pronounced Kacar. Also known as New Lady Golfer on social media. Started the handle, I want to say a little less than 6 years ago, which is when I took up the game of golf, documenting an adult beginner golfer journey. Once I moved out here to San Diego from New Jersey, and just been riding the wave of the golf journey and then finding my way into the golf media space.
Riding the wave of the golf journey is interesting because it's incredible how many people have started playing golf and then their life just completely changes. And so some people blame that on golf. Some people say it's a golf addiction. But if we see it really as what it is, it's built so many relationships, so many good friendships. And that's kind of the heart behind this podcast too, is diving into that, the positives of that time we spent, and the way golf facilitates really good relationships, which oftentimes transforms your life as a whole.
Absolutely. I mean, I started it, I wanted to obviously find a new hobby and competitive outlet. I've been an athlete my whole life. I played soccer in college. That was my sport. But I wanted to find a sport that I could play well into my adult years that wasn't quite as hard on the body like soccer.
Absolutely.
I am also coming to find out, as well as my chiropractor, that it is harder on the body than what I thought.
It can be, for sure.
Yeah, but I really wanted to find something that I could do. My boyfriend loves to play golf, so I really wanted to be able to play with him here in San Diego, and then on vacation and travels. I thought it would be something fun and active for us to do. And along with that, I have made some really strong friendships. My friend Stefania, Sophia, we're like this now, and that's really, because of golf. And then it strengthened my relationship with my brother. He loves to golf, and I could have never imagined we'd ever have a reason to spend 4 or 5 hours together on any given day. But now that we both have golf in common, that gives us an opportunity to do that, and I'm just so grateful for that, those really meaningful personal relationships that I've created. And then on the flip side of that, golf has given me an entirely new career. I used to be a high school teacher for 10 years back in New Jersey. I taught at an all-boys Catholic prep school. I had a great experience. I loved it. When I moved out to San Diego, I was ready to close that chapter and find something new. I didn't know what that was going to be. So I just poured myself into learning golf, started the Instagram, and now here we are 6 years later, and I pinch myself on a daily basis for the opportunities that I've received from working in golf.
Wow, what a neat journey for you. And I mean, along the way, you've obviously gotten to learn a lot through meeting new people and new experiences. I do want to go back to that point, though, about bonding with your brother and your family and friends. That's one thing I resonate with too. I got into golf to really bond with my dad as a young girl. That was one thing that we were able to build a relationship around and continued that. And so now it's fun to continue to play with him. Before we started filming, we were talking about the more executive, more friendly courses that all levels of golfers can play in, and how this community has really grown to be more accommodating to lots of new beginners, children, families being on the golf course. So we're seeing this wave of a different culture shift almost in the community of,
For sure.
of golf and golf courses and the golf facilities. So we love to see that. We've got other podcasts too talking about different options that you can get people into if they're not ready for 18 holes on the golf course.
It's becoming like trendy and the fun social thing to do.
Exactly.
Golf. So I just love to see that, and I'm hoping to see more par 3 and executive courses start popping up, because I think they really attack the challenges and barriers to entry for the person who's wanting to start golf. It overcomes the price aspect. A lot of them are very cost effective. The time aspect, you can play a lot in under 90 minutes. And then the intimidation factor. They're usually a lot more laid back. You don't have to necessarily overly worry about pace of play or dress code, things like that. So I'd love to see more executive and par 3 courses start popping up so we can even get more people into golf.
I love having more advocates for that as well. And your background in education too is the heart of behind pouring into our future generations, and not only getting them into the sport, but all the doors that the sport opens and relationships and opportunities.
For sure. And I see a lot of that for women. I think that there's a large opportunity for women to get involved in golf if they are looking to make, do networking and make really important business connections, or whatever industry that they're in. And it essentially is a great way to get yourself in the door and in the room.
Absolutely.
And then show everything else you got as far as conversation, your intelligence, to make those meaningful business connections, to then turn that into more opportunities.
Yes, and I love you said that, because I lead like a beginner's clinic every once in a while at the golf course I'm at, and there are 2 key reasons why I'm hearing women are wanting to get into the sport. One is relationships, bonding closer with family or friends. Their girlfriends picked up, so they want to pick it up.
Yeah.
And the second is because of work. They were invited or not invited because they don't play,
right.
To a golf course or a golf setting. And so they wanted to know their way around the course. And biggest thing I tell them is, first off, let's learn the etiquette.
Yeah.
And let's learn how to support, because you could, if it's a scramble, you could be like the ringer putter.
Of course, exactly.
Yeah, and you don't need to know the full golf swing or be able to shoot par to really make a difference on the golf course and build those relationships.
Definitely. I think you and I both know how much opportunity there is at these charity events for golf. And we've been to a lot of them ourselves, and there aren't a lot of women.
Nope.
So, and it's not like, and they're very welcoming, right? When we're there, it's like the golf space is almost wanting more women to be involved and be 100%. At these events.
Yes.
So I think it's a great opportunity for us.
Yes, absolutely. And encouraging any woman at home, don't be intimidated. There are tons of clubs now, which we love that. Tons of clubs and women's social groups starting up to make it a little more inviting. You can learn to feel comfortable on the golf course.
Absolutely.
So then you can say yes to those opportunities. What are some things that you've noticed as you started? Because you did this whole journey where you started as an adult, and so you've been in that position. Were you ever intimidated to go to the golf course?
Yeah, I definitely was, but I just had to keep putting myself in uncomfortable positions. I've gotten fairly good at that, making myself uncomfortable. But yeah, I used to be so nervous to go and play with new people, like people I hadn't played with before. I got very comfortable playing with my boyfriend and his friends. They knew I was a beginner. They knew I was probably going to make a lot of mistakes. But it's in showcasing on social media that I'm learning golf and really practicing all the time, I placed this own expectation on myself that everybody else thought that I was going to be able to play and perform at a certain level. So I would almost paralyze myself in a way. And I would get to the first tee box. I'm playing with people who know what I'm doing on social media, and it was I almost couldn't swing. But you just do it, and you get through it, and you get through the round. And even still, to this day, I'm now 6 years into this, and I still find myself getting nervous on the first tee box, even when I'm playing with people that I play with all the time. I wonder if it ever really goes away, because I'm just Why do you do this? And then when I go to certain events, like this past May, I was at the U.S. Open Media Day at Pinehurst playing with people who I've never played with before, and I was so nervous, you know? Like, it was the course that made me nervous, it was being at the U.S. Open Media Day made me nervous, and so, but because those situations arise and happen to me fairly often, I'm getting better at managing them.
See,
Yeah.
putting yourself in that uncomfortable situation just becomes more comfortable. Like,
Yeah,
over
exactly.
time.
It's like I kind of already know that I'm going to be nervous and how that feels, so at least then I'm prepared for it.
Yeah,
That makes
exactly.
sense.
No, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
And I mean, reminding yourself that these feelings are normal.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's normal for everyone, I think.
Exactly. And honestly, like, everybody that's usually playing has their own nerves themselves, and they're kind of, everybody's focused on themselves. That was another thing when I had first started. I thought that everybody was always watching me and watching my shots, and not, like, they're not. You know,
Yeah,
everybody's
no.
so worried about their own game.
Exactly.
Nobody's like caring if I miss a shot or duff a shot. It's like everybody does it. It happens even to like the people who've been playing for a really long time.
Exactly.
And ultimately, everybody is very concerned with their own score and how they're doing versus how, you know, somebody else is scoring. At the end of a lot of rounds, I couldn't even tell you, like, what somebody else shot, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm just so focused on my game.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, that depends on your friend group too and how competitive you are, because I know some guys can remember every single shot.
That is very true.
But I have noticed with the females, we're primarily there like to enjoy our own game and
Yeah,
have
exactly.
a good time.
Yeah.
So it goes back to like your intention set for the round.
Right.
But you're exactly right. Like I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and that's one hurdle that golfers, I think, no matter what level you're at, has to overcome.
Absolutely.
Professional or beginner. But know that it's normal, you know, and thank you for sharing that, because I think that's huge. That is huge for people to know. Going into your work in media now, stepping out of your comfort zone in that way too.
Yeah.
What are some things that you've learned along the way to kind of help you when you step into those uncomfortable situations? And I'm thinking in reference to people who are trying to network for work. They're showing up at a charity golf event and maybe playing with their bosses or playing with someone that they need to get to know more.
Basically, when I know I'm going to an event or I'm going to be doing interviews or asking people questions, I try to keep it very focused on them. I like to do my research. If it's for a charity, I want to understand the cause and know a little bit of background and history on that, so that way I can demonstrate that I have already done the research and have a genuine care. And, you know, that will usually spark conversation back and forth, and I just try to keep it really low-key and easy, like we're just having a conversation and talking. And that has done really well for me versus like trying to be like a really stiff official interview.
And I know I took us down like a completely different route from what we were talking about, but I think it is a balance, and most people who are successful in this space know that, as you said, some prep work goes a long way.
Yeah.
We want to be genuine. We want to like make sure we're focused on the relationship and having fun out there.
Yeah.
But if you just do a little bit of research on maybe the course, you know, like the people you're playing with,
For sure.
or the event itself, like wow, you feel a little bit more comfortable stepping into that space.
Of course.
So yeah.
And then if you do get the odd question where somebody says something or asks something and you have like that data point you can, you know, interject, it just helps build your credibility even more.
Yes, it's so true. We played recently this week and at your course, and you mentioned the designer, and it reminded me there was just doing a little bit of research on the course. There was one time I was playing with someone, I mentioned the course designer because I had read up on the course, and they were so impressed.
Yeah, right.
Little stuff like that.
Yep.
It just kind of stands out. But I'd love to go back to your experiences in media and some really cool things that kind of stuck out in your journey, opportunities you've had, and things you maybe want to share with people.
Yeah, the first big opportunity that I had in the media space for golf was with the Farmers Insurance Open. It was literally within my first year of starting golf, so I'm brand new.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity to work with the Century Club of San Diego, which is the non-profit host organization of the Farmers Insurance Open. And they just sort of snowballed with this idea of wanting to leverage me, somebody who was newer to golf, to sort of reach that San Diego lifestyle crowd versus the golf fan. They were like, we already know we're going to get a lot of the golf fans out to the event, but we want to really reach the San Diego lifestyle crowd, and we think you being newer to the game could really have a unique voice and help us achieve that. And I was like, great, okay. And again, not really knowing what's happening around me, and then the Farmers Insurance posted on their Instagram and used the term social media host. And they announced it on their page, I announced it on my page, and now this, again, I don't even remember how many followers I had at the time, but it was nothing like what it is today. And it was sort of like overnight credibility, like, who is this girl? Like, we thought she was just showing golf videos, learning to golf, like at the range and with a coach, and now she's working with a PGA Tour event at Torrey Pines, like, so that was the first big opportunity that I had. And then since then I've got to work with some of the LPGA events, some other PGA Tour events. I got to do social media work with the US Open when it was at Torrey Pines with the USGA, so that was really fun. And this year I'm looking to add maybe a few more events. I'll kick off the year at the Century in Maui, which will be my 3rd year there. So it's just fun, you know, like I really do enjoy doing the events, and whether it's the formal ones like with the PGA Tour or the USGA, or the, you know, the less formal ones, which are like the charity events that have a more fun, laid back vibe, to working with brands that aren't necessarily golf brands but host golf events for their customers. It's just no 2 days are the same, and it's all been really fun.
Yeah, and what I've learned too is how many opportunities there are within golf on the business side too, and the golf industry has so many different avenues you can go down. And you've seen that, you know, you found kind of a niche for yourself that also has a lot of flexibility. I think one thing that stands out about you is just how passionate and like driven you are, because you found where we really like to work. It's neat to see that you found those areas that are really interesting to you, and I think because of that, you can then be yourself in that space, and that really shows. And people thrive when they, like you said earlier, you can just be yourself.
Absolutely. That's the one thing about social media is, like, first of all, anybody can do it. I had zero experience. I didn't know what I was doing. As a teacher, you can't really have social media. You have to be very private and very cautious about what you post online. And then now I jump into this space where it's literally like a sea of people just creating all different kinds of content, and I really had no idea what I was doing at the start. And then obviously I did have a clear content strategy of what I wanted to do, but obviously it's changed and evolved over time. But when social media is used for its intended purposes, it is an amazing tool. It is exactly why I have my job today.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's how I got back into golf after being burnt out, is seeing these girls post on social media that were right down the street. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I play too. And being so willing to play with me, even though they didn't know who I was or anything like that. That's how the relationship formed. And it's neat to see now, as social media has been more and more of a tool that a lot of people use, how different avenues and different businesses are using it. You know, if it's through like marketing strategies or education, or, you know, there's so many different tools now, or ways to use the tool. And so we love to see that grow, and the positive side of social media.
And there's so many personalities even within our golf space, right? You have a lot of males and females creating profiles and finding their own voice and their own type of content that they want to do. And that's the thing, is like, brands, there's so many opportunities out there for us as individuals, and you know what one brand is looking for, maybe it's what I do and the content I create and my personality and brand is attracted to them. And then for another brand, it might be somebody else. And I think that that's the beauty of it, is that there are so many people, so many different personalities, but there's also so many brands too that's going to resonate with different personalities out there. So I think there's no shortage of opportunities. I think it's a space for everybody to have their own unique voice. And I think if we all kind of can understand and wrap our head around that and sort of be in support of that for everyone in the space, I think it just elevates everything for everybody. Yeah,
I love that you bring in other people to your content too. Me being one, that's got the benefit.
Likewise,
of that.
Absolutely,
it's
right
so
back
fun.
at you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a fun way to play in a way. Like, you just get to be creative, and you get to bring other people in. And I'll tell you, it's so much more life-giving to film and play and be in a situation where it allows for creativity than it is when I'm having to sit in a room by myself and film something for like an hour. You know? Like,
exactly.
At the end of the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not how I want to live my life.
Well, and the beauty of golf is, like, it is such an exciting sport. You literally never know what's going to happen. Like, one swing. Remember when we played in Spain and we're literally talking, you're talking about a hole-in-one. I've never had a hole-in-one before. I'm going to play this shot shape. I haven't been playing it all day. And then you literally hit it, like, I don't even know, like centimeters away from the hole.
Crazy,
that was crazy. It's like, and you
so
just, that's one of the most fun things about golf and what we do in filming things, is you literally never know what's going to happen. And golf is such a crazy sport. Like, one swing and it's just like, holy, how did that's crazy. And it's even better when you catch it on video, right?
Yeah, when you're around people who are willing to like, film for you or let you film, like that's so fun. And I noticed that too with you post a lot of your journey, and how neat is it to be able to look back from years ago and be like, wow, that's what my swing was and how far I've come by doing all this hard work.
Oh yeah, it really couldn't have gotten much worse than the first swings, considering I missed the ball twice. And like, I'm so happy I have that video because like I always filter it back into my content every so often, because anybody who's new coming to my page, especially if it's females wanting to get into the game, I don't want them to just see the now, because they might think that it's, I don't know, like that I've been doing it for so long or whatever. But that's why I always bring it back, because I want them to know that that was exactly where I started, and this is where I've gotten to now. Still obviously have a lot more work to do, but like it's just about enjoying the journey, and that it's going to be perfectly okay to hit the ball or with the ball when you first start, because we all did that,
Exactly, yes.
So I love bringing that video back, because it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Like you mentioned earlier, you want to be genuine, and you are. You're a very like genuine person in person and online. That makes you very approachable.
Thank you.
The first time I met you actually was at a Topgolf event, and you had no idea who I was.
I remember. It was in Scottsdale. It was during that Super Bowl week. Of course I remember. It was at the Topgolf party, you said.
It was. And you were just so sweet, because you never know, but I'm willing to walk up to anyone. And so when I recognized you, I was like, I just gotta meet her, because you seem so sweet online, and you never know. So we're just like, oh, well, I'll go say hi. And you were just like the nicest person I think I've ever met for the first time. You were just like so interested in me, which I thought I was a little taken aback. I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't know who I am, but you're asking all these questions about myself. And I think that's one thing that we kind of overlook in our current society, of like this, just being, I think you mentioned it earlier, being interested and genuinely asking questions about someone else, because you get to know things that you might not never know. But deeper than that, you build a trust with someone. And it's very welcoming to feel a safe space that like, wow, this person's actually interested in me. And so that always stuck out to me. You have just an amazing first impression, I think, because of the genuine spirit that you are. When you go to different events and you have an agenda that you have to interview all these people, what are some strategies you use to show up? I know you mentioned before doing some research, but show up, being genuine, but also knowing you have an agenda. And we see that often on the golf course too. We have a game to play. We have pace to play. So how can you balance that relationship, conversation, asking good questions, but still make sure you play and get the tasks done for the day?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, it's really whenever I do any of my content planning, and I think I did this with you a little bit yesterday, like before I'm out to the course or before I'm out at an event, I try to be very organized, and I try to have a very good idea of the shot list of things I want to get, if there's somebody I want to talk to, the questions that I want to ask. So that way I'm not taking up a lot of time, or I'm not impeding a pace of play or anything like that. And then I try to be very strategic of going out, getting the shots I need. If it's at a particular hole, like yesterday, right? I had said to you, like, remind me of the plan. What do we want to do? Okay, great. Let me take a look. Like, obviously know what my course is like, and then what's going to be the best way for me to execute that, so we can play golf, we can respect the course and the other members, but we can also get the content that we need. So I've found that bodes really well for me to have that plan, strategize, and then execute it, so that way it's like not really taking away from anything else that the day is about.
Yes, yeah, I like that. And so like then on the golf course, like you said, we were able to have that conversation on the tee box while we were waiting for someone else. You know, like that's so nice to know, okay, these are places I can ask these questions that I want to get to know.
Yeah, exactly.
And the organization is key. I think that might be a little bit of your teacher background there.
Yeah, I know. It's just I have this knack for time management. It's
amazing.
I even surprise myself sometimes. I'm like, man, like I can. It's just a strength. And I'm glad, because when it comes to golf stuff, it's obviously very helpful, since we have a pace of play, element to etiquette here. So I'm like, well, that bodes well for what I do.
Absolutely. And all the things that you're doing currently, I think you have to have a good time management. Because you're traveling a lot. You have a lot of events that you cover. What's new, or what's coming up in 2025 for you?
Every year, I get excited at the beginning of the year and for all the plans. And I can honestly say that 2025 is like the most excited that I've been since working in this space.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it like I said, it's kicking off in Maui. I've worked with the Ritz-Carlton for, this will be year 3. Okay. They have like this package around the Century where it's like tickets to the suite on 18 and the accommodation and like this whole little thing. That's really nice. So this will be my 3rd year out with the Ritz-Carlton at the Century. So I'm really looking forward to kicking my year off there. I get back and then it's right into Farmers Insurance Open stuff. Wow. We have media day and then the tournament like 2 weeks after that. It's always one of my busiest and most rewarding weeks of the year. This will be my 6th year as their social media host, which is just so crazy to me. Yes. I have no idea where the time went. And then, I have another event I'm adding into the calendar in March. Okay. And then April, I have a 2-week golf trip to Ireland with a golf tourism company called Explore Ireland Golf and Travel. Ooh. And just playing some bucket list courses in the southwest of Ireland, and I can't wait for that. I'm so excited. Fingers crossed on the weather. You've experienced the Irish golf and it's
hit or miss sometimes.
It very much is. Doesn't even matter what time of year.
No,
it doesn't
makes
even
you
matter.
Stronger, that's for sure.
Yeah, some other just a lot. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and some different events,
exciting.
And I have some really some new partnerships that I'm really excited about. So I'm just so grateful. Honestly, I pinch myself every day. To the brands I'm getting to work with, the people that I'm getting to meet, the golf courses that I'm getting to play. Yeah. I'm just over the moon.
Absolutely.
I'm so grateful.
We are excited for you too, because it's fun to see when someone who's passionate about what they do and genuine and kind, just a kind person that's willing to learn and listen to everyone. It's just neat to see when things come together, and people want to support that too. So I think
hopefully there's some more golf trips. Hopefully we have,
I hope so too.
Get to do some more things together, right?
We do.
We've now played golf in Marbella in Spain.
We have.
We've played here now.
Mexico.
Sacramento.
Yes,
so it's we'll see what destination pops up for us next.
It's always a great time,
right?
Yeah. And it's neat too. The people that I think we met that first time, and then just was randomly put together in a tournament, and so that's just fun to see. You never know who you're going to meet, like you said earlier. You never know who you're going to meet, and what friendships and relationships will develop from that. And so it's always good to keep an open mind on the golf course. That single that might be paired with you might be your best friend.
Absolutely.
If you're willing to just to have that conversation, ask good questions, and be genuinely interested in them.
For sure. Yeah. Then there's always that element for 2025 of improving my golf game too. There's that aspect of things.
Always. Try not to talk about that too much because it's never ending.
Exactly. But
well, I'll be right there with you working on my golf swing too.
For sure. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see just kind of what the next year brings. Hopefully to do more stuff with you and other people in the golf space, because I really think that that's one of the most fun parts of it.
I agree.
Just enjoying the journey, right? One day at a time.
Yeah, you never know where this hobby will take us.
Totally.
And how it affects our life as a whole.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But thank you for sharing your wisdom and your insight.
Of course.
And we're excited. We're excited to see your journey. So keep posting. I'm sure you will, but we'll be following.
Oh, yes.
And if you didn't get her handle at the beginning, make sure you're following at New Lady Golfer. She's on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, all the things. Yeah. Come follow along. We try to keep it interesting. Mostly golf, sprinkled in with a few other fun aspects of life.
Yeah. Really entertaining and cute videos. So we like to see all the different variety from you. You're very creative.
Yes. Well, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you literally for having me in your home.
Anytime.
Thank you for listening to this first episode of the Meaningful Topics podcast. I'll be posting a new episode each week, and next week's episode is with Gold Yeller, or Jared Jacobs. He shares about his experiences as an artist working with Lego, and how the world of golf has brought him to some interesting experiences. Subscribe here, and then follow on Instagram and Facebook to see the most recent updates and new posts. As always, please let me know what you want to see from this page, and have a great day.